Accept your death.
So there's this young kid at work that got hired recently, and he was telling me that he was trying to quit vaping. You know, he was doing his best, trying to cut down and eventually cut it out. And I was like, oh, well, if there's anything that I can do to help, you know, feel free to let me know. And he's like, yeah, I can't really think of anything, but I'll let you know. And I kind of came up with my own, like, creative way of helping him out. So
You give him a Jolly Rancher?
I had to stop him from eating all my Jolly Ranchers. That's a separate story, let me tell you. Whenever I see him go outside and, like, vape, I just stare at him from the window. If there's no customers or anything, I just stare at him from the window.
Make it really awkward?
Yeah, and then, like, sometimes he'll acknowledge me and sometimes he won't. And then he'll come inside and he'll be like, why are you staring at me? And I'm like, you look so cool right now. Like, you know, when you do that, you look so cool. Like, I really wish I could look that cool. And he's like,
oh, so you're trying to shame it out of him. Okay.
It's like as dad as I can get, my way of trying to, like, just be like, you know. And then every time he comes in, you look so cool right now. Oh my God, I wish I looked that cool. And then he'll be out there with our boss, and she vapes too. And I'm like, why do you ever say that about her? I'm like, well, because she just doesn't look as cool as you. I don't know. It's just the way that you blow that vape stuff out. You just look so cool right now. I mean, I should probably even be here. You're just so cool.
You both look cool. You should start a band.
You should start a band. Okay, that's gonna be my next one. Y'all should start a band. The vapors.
And then whatever he says in response to that, say, and that's the name of your first album.
Oh,
like that'll be especially good if he's like, you know, blow it out your ass or something.
Blow it out your ass, and that
should be the name of your first album.
Name of your first album. You got talent, kid. I can see it.
Thanks, you're a good friend. Hey, that's the name of your first album.
He's affectionately dubbed to be Work Dad, which makes me feel a lot older than I think I am. But then I remember how old I am, and I'm like, no, that checks out, I suppose. But you know what else checks out?
Did you know what else checks out? I heard a dink joke. You want to hear it real quick?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I got this from a Twitch chat. Somebody donated some bits to get the AI to read their sentence or whatever on one of these streams I was watching. And it says that, you know, a lot of males, as they age, they kind of fear getting that dad bod, you know, sort of thing. But I'm not afraid at all. As a matter of fact, I'm looking forward to getting older. I'm looking forward to my dad bod because it's the closest thing I think I'll ever get to a father figure.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me that joke? That sounds like something you'd say.
That is. I mean, I've heard that joke before, but you know, it's to kind of feed off of that. When I finally pass away, I want to be cremated because that's the closest I'll get to having a smoking hot body.
Yeah.
See, we're feeding off
that's
each
a good
other.
One.
Feeding off each other like we're going to be feeding off these comments.
Yep.
There's also a D's nut set up there, but we'll go into comments instead.
Feeding. Oh boy.
All right, so first comment that we're going to go over here. I don't really agree with a lot of the discussion on Conan. Most people need to be using him with Janet. He gets 18.5% off a throw into a restand. He becomes a ridiculous Ermac type with Janet. I don't think I've seen a single Conan played with Janet. Like, not a single one. And,
I mean, it wouldn't be the first character that she completely elevated, if that's the case. I haven't seen it either.
That's true.
I feel like I see mostly Serena with him. Serena and Scorpion.
I only see Shujinko. And, I mean, Shujinko fills everything that he's missing, so I mean, that makes sense. But I don't really run into a lot of Conans. You know, I think, you know, either he's just not fun to play or not very popular, I guess. I don't know, I just don't play a lot of them, which is kind of what I expected for the character, to be honest. I didn't think he would be this super popular, crazy, top-tier character, but...
Do you see him more than Omni-Man?
No, definitely not. I think I see him probably the least. Like in my Combat League travels...
More than Peacemaker?
Okay, maybe Peacemaker is I see Peacemaker less. The peacemakers that do see these days though are really scary. Like they know how to play super duper safe. Like he's still like not a terrible
the people that don't abandon the character after they get nerfed, those are always the scariest.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, they know everything in and out. They know the matchups better than you do. Like I can tell you right now that I know the basics of a peacemaker matchup, but I would get humiliated if I had to face against like someone that was aware of all the intricacies and that kind of stuff. And that's like the character specialist sort of stuff, right? That's what makes them different than, the top tiers. They're just, Homelander fare and trying to get to the top,
Right.
So let me know what other tech you have with Cone and Janet, because I'm seeing that you're talking about the throw there, but that's about it. Next one here is a bit of a longer one, so I'll put it up on the screen here. But Koala Khan talking about Enforcer Ghostface, and you'll probably have to lead this one a little bit more than I will, because I'm not familiar with playing it as much. But basically saying that Enforcer doesn't have any sort of ways to mix you up the way that the Assassin does. And from what I've played around in practice mode, that kind of sounds like to be the case. A little bit more
linear, whereas like Assassin, we talked about a little bit. So this came from our discussion last week. She's got the projectile and then the cancel, and the cancel can, you can end combos with it and end up in a plus situation with your opponent restood. So you get like a little vortex. But the whole gimmick with the Enforcer or Assassin thing is that they expire, or if you get hit, then, he gets knocked back to like the main one. So I guess I'm not super familiar with Enforcer because, like you said, nobody like really uses it. I know there's tech out there.
I just don't. Probably like kind of just feeds into that whole thing. Like nobody uses it because it's just not that great. Like it's got Rekkas, I guess, but like, how do you really open up a character? I don't know. I've never found Rekkas to be super scary. For the most part. I don't know in fighting games. Maybe I haven't played. I haven't played like Street Fighter and games like that have them in it as much, but at least the way that NRS has implemented them, like Takeda's isn't too scary. Kobujutsu Tanya.
What about in other games? So, pre-patch Tarkatan Alien Rekkas, were those scary?
No, not really, because it's either you hard commit to like keeping it gapless, and I believe that made them unsafe, or you just leave gaps in it and you can just armor through it. And armor was plentiful in that game. Especially early on when you had like armored launchers and stuff. So
okay, what about let's see, Red Hood's trait in Injustice 2? Did you ever get opened up or fear that Rekka?
I wouldn't say I feared it as much. Like I think the most opened up by it I got was with, I think there was a grab portion of it. Like you can end it in overhead, lower, grab, I think. But there was a timing where you could kind of counter all three of them.
Right.
And if you got that timing down, then it wasn't as scary. But you're still taking the chip damage. I could be misremembering that, but I don't remember. I would say probably that one would be the most annoying that I can think of off the top of my head. But even then, it wasn't. It felt like there was very clear counterplay to it that made it not as scary,
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't think anybody had Rekkas in MKA 11. With how poke throw heavy that game was, every character was a fucking Rekka. But whatever. So anyways, give him a mix-up in his Rekka, is what I'm saying for Ghostface. Buff Ghostface. All I've seen is poor people on Twitter just dunking on this character with Shujinko. Like, since the Shujinko changes came out, I've just seen so many highlight videos of like, here's me one-shotting Ghostface with this crazy setup with this character. It's like,
some matchups can be kind of a struggle, like anyway. Like he doesn't have. Depending on what kind of cameo he's using and stuff, I feel like that's why Mavato's so popular, is that you really have to like capitalize on what's happening like while you're in, because working your way in sometimes is can be a little rough for that character.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's easy to be like, oh, you've got that little teleport in the backstage pass, but like, bro, come on now. There's so many ways to beat that thing. You got to be reacting to something crazy or hitting somebody off guard if you're gonna.
Yeah, the flip side of that, right? It's 2 bars, but he's got a full screen command grab from those same things. So
that's crazy.
It's just a matter of like how you actually play the looking at the character and their tools in a vacuum versus in the ecosystem that is the game, how they exist in the game. Like we talk about that all the time, right? Like even like lower tier characters in this game, it's like, they've got good tools, they've got cool tools, they just don't play the game very well. Not to say that Ghostface doesn't play the game very well. He's very, very strong, but I'm just saying as a general philosophy.
That is one thing that I will say about this game that I think kind of speaks to how good it is like, I don't think anyone can really have a clear consensus on like who, like even the people who are considered like bottom tier are not unviable characters. Like you don't see like previous NRS games where you have some characters that like have 10 3-7 matchups. Like it feels like even the worst characters in this game, like Kung Lao, a lot of people have him at kind of the bottom of the barrel, but he's still got a lot of tools to work with. His neutral's a little weak, but I mean, he does decent damage. He's got good tools, good projectiles. So like, I don't know. It's even the lower tier characters. They seem like they can still compete. They're still in the game, and I think that means there's good balancing in this thing. So.
Right. I mean, they may have to work harder. I mean, a lot of it depends on, what everybody else can do, what the matchup spread looks like, and what the, kind of like what's going on in the meta. And if they can keep, I feel like that's where a lot of characters get overlooked and, pushed down there. I mean, tier lists are kind of based on matchup charts, matchup spread and stuff. And, there's a lot of like dialogue surrounding this game about, just why choose that when if you want to play that way outside of some very specific sort of tools, but like in a general sense, there's just other characters on the roster that could probably do it better and make your life easier. But some people just know I want to play this character. Like some people are really stubborn about it, and that's completely fine.
And I respect that. And I'm one of those people, like I was diehard. I want to play Quan Chi. That's who I wanted to play. And then it just got to a point where I just wasn't having that much fun with them. And I was like, okay, well, I know what my game plan is. There's another character that I wanted to play anyways and does what I want Quan to do better. So I'm just going to do that. I'll just play Quan for fun. Because he is fun. When he works, he works. But when he doesn't, oh boy, the salt starts flowing. I get a little peeves. If that makes sense.
Do you?
Yeah, sometimes. But again, when he works,
I never get salty. I don't know what your problem is. I never get salty.
I get salty for just like a couple different. Like generally, I'll get salty if the connection's like really bad and like I lost because of something outside of my control. That's what will make me salty. Like if there's a lag spike and I drop my combo, that would make me salty. But I was
joking, by the way. I'm obviously quite salty, as you know. I might be in the top 3. Might be in the top 3 of all time saltiest players.
One of these days, I'll release the hater files, and it'll just be an hour-long rant of every time that hater goes off about Shujinko and how you're downplaying Shujinko. And this Kameo is so fucking broken, dude. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's only happened like once or twice.
If I had $1 for every time hater went on a rant about Shujinko,
you would about Shujinko specifically, or just period?
Just Shujinko specifically. I like to keep it to that because
I think if you had $1 for each time that happened, then you could get yourself a sandwich at Subway.
Hey.
After the conversion, from USD to Canadian.
Yeah, sure. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. That doesn't take much these days, by the way. Anyways, we spent on this topic way too long. Thank you, Koala, for that comment. Appreciate you. Last comment here, 4 days, says, is Tyler your brother? This has got to be like some Chiefs reference, probably, I would assume. Because we're talking about the Super Bowl. I bet on the Chiefs. Tyler Lansdowne.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go for you?
Not well, from what I imagine.
Yeah? You didn't have to pay anybody?
I didn't have to pay anybody, no. My brother came home and he was like, hey, you owe me $20. And I was like, you didn't pay me back the $20 that you owed me from last week. And he's like, oh, yeah. Like, so we'll call it even. Like, oh, okay. So, all's well that ends well.
He was expecting that $20.
He was.
I wonder how'd he handle the news?
He he was upset at himself. I was like, put a quarter in your ass because you played yourself. So it was
a quarter in your ass because you played yourself. All right.
yeah. So that's how that went. But no, Tyler's not my brother. Although you could be not. Obviously, the resemblance is there. I'll say that. Same hairline,
Is
all
there?
that kind of stuff.
You and Tyler Lansdowne?
Yeah, we look pretty similar. He's good 4 inches shorter
I
than
don't.
me.
No, he is not. There's no way. You're fucking with me. Yeah, I was gonna. If I took a picture of that guy from Despicable Me and I held it up to Tyler, I would be like, nah. And if I held it up next to you, I'd be like, I could see it, right?
It's the same guy. What are you talking about? It's the same dude.
Dude, my favorite's the Count from Sesame Street, and you're the one that told me that one. So
yeah, I can only blame myself. I might.
That's a good one.
I might get one of those scarves, and I might dress up as Gru for Halloween this year. We'll see. I've got a lot of people asking me to do it. So,
dude, that would be so funny.
That's okay.
And you could just like take Twinkies out of the packages, right, and put them in your pockets or something. Or you could just have the cream all over your face, like you've been eating them, right?
Oh my god! We were talking at work about having me dress up as Gru, and then everybody else just wears Minion shirts for that day, and we just like kind of have the theme of that. I thought that would be kind of funny. We had a customer in last Halloween. He was asking if we had like a clear coat that would go over like latex, like a latex thing, and we're asking like what he's doing, and he's like it's for my kid's Halloween costume, and he's like, here, I'll show you a picture. And he pulls his phone out, and this kid's like maybe 10 years old, and he's dressed up as Dr. Phil, and he wanted to use the clear coat to make the head super shiny, and he's got like this bald cap on. It was so funny, dude. It was like, that's one of the best stories I've ever been able to tell.
Did it work? Would it work for that situation?
Oh yeah, because it doesn't need to hold up. You'd have to like kind of paint it on an hour before you're going to go out. But I mean, yeah, it would work just fine for that. It's because you don't need it to adhere for very long. I mean, if you're trying to make a bold skin cap you're going to wear for, daily use, then no. But for one night to go out, absolutely. Freaking be Dr. Phil, dude.
All right. Duly noted.
So, starting next weekend, I believe, is the Pro Comp Tour. So I thought we could kind of go over that a little bit. Mr. Aquaman has posted some information over on testyourmight.com. I thought it might be worthy. I'll actually try and link that in the description. I say try to link that like it's really that hard. It's copy and pasting a link, but
it's trying to remember to do it.
That is the struggle. That is the tough part. So there's lots of information here. $10,000 prize pool. Top 4 payout is $5,000 for first, $2,500 for second, $1,625 for third, and $875 for fourth. That's a decent spread. It's a shame it's only the top 4. I always like to see more players getting paid, but it is what it is. I guess the top 4 at the top take it all. It's kind of cool though. The registration, you get a thermo, t-shirt, tote bag, and more stuff. You never get that stuff for registering at events. Why is this one so special?
Well, it's like little goodie bags, like from their sponsors and things like that. I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's good for the players to take home and have. I still have my combo breaker booklet from last year sitting over with the rest of my nerd stuff on my little TV stand that does not have a TV anymore. It's got all the information here too if you want to head over there and check it out or whatnot. I think you're kind of running out of time now, but and then the points, how the points work. So first place gets 210 points, 145, then 120, 105, 70, 35, 20, and 10. So points all the way to 13th place. So more players getting points. That's cool. And then there's also a list of players to watch here. So it'll be interesting. We got Sonic Fox.
Do we know the whole circuit? Has anyone done the math yet, I wonder, about like how many points before like you're locked in for Final Combat?
Not that I've seen. Not that I've seen, no. I'm not even sure.
I'll go digging for that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that we've seen the whole circuit yet. I mean, I'm fairly certain that Combo Breaker, maybe CEO will be on there. And Evo, of course. I would be shocked if Evo wasn't on there. It's actually shocking the MK1 got to Evo again this year. But that's a whole nother conversation. So players to watch here: Sonic Fox, Nicolas, Scorpion Prox, MK Javier, of course. Gur, Too Easy, Infinity. Lavender Rain is a name that sounds new to me, but apparently is not. Has been tearing it up. I just hasn't been paying attention, I guess. And then Mex Gladiator. Won a Texas local with Darius Reptile. That pairing is actually super sick. There is some crazy mix that can go on with them.
I was playing against that yesterday a little bit.
Were you playing my good friend Blue Raz Rush?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, I saw you guys sitting on the Discord there for a while there. How did that go? Was he mixing you up? Was he hitting you with all the fun stuff?
He's trying to get reacquainted with Reptile. It's kind of swapping between Sub-Zero and Reptile. But yeah, just I feel like what Darius brings to all the other teams that he plays, right? You get a knockdown with Darius out, and you just got to know what your character can do and his timing for the old overhead low.
Yeah, that's it is usually overhead low. I find I get hit more often when it's low overhead. I don't know.
Or low overhead, right? Like whichever the option is. It's just a matter of setting it up and figuring out how. It's like using Sector's missile. I feel like it's just he can enable a lot of characters to do the same thing in the same situations. It's just a matter of your spacing and what buttons you're using for it.
It annoys me with Darius with that when he kind of grabs him from the hand and they do that romantic little twirl thing with the 3 hits.
Yeah, did you know you can flawless block the last hit and full combo punish?
I was just going to say, I do know that, but I play it so infrequently that I always mess up the timing. And that's what frustrates me, because I know how to punish it. I know there's a gap there. I know exactly what to do, but I just don't play against it enough to actually punish that. And usually when Darius players, they're looking for the little lower overhead shenanigans anyways. They don't use that move a whole lot. Which is a shame.
Yeah, I feel like it comes out on accident.
Ironically, switching back to a topic before, Darius's Rekka is actually pretty good. Because there's so much time between where he can actually cancel into the next one, and he has armor in there, and it can steal your meter. I take it back. Darius has the best Rekka in NRS.
The meters, the thing that takes your buff meter is super obnoxious.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That could be one of the best Rekkas in NRS for a Kameo that we very rarely see. But it's really good.
When I fight against any Darius team, they're one of the. Not to get too off topic here, while we're talking about Darius. The number one Kameo that I'll disrespect. Right? If you knock me down into a setup, that is I don't think twice before. I generally tend to kind of do that anyway, right? But you have to prove to me I'm just not holding whatever you're going to do. It's like Sento stuff, right? Okay, how good's the Kenshi? Am I going to try to jump here, and if I eat shit for it, if my feet can't even leave the ground before I'm dying for it, okay, they know what they're doing, or that's a legitimate, sort of sequence. But you have to earn that first. So I'll risk some health for that. But that's how I feel about Darius in anybody's hands, and then. Once you fuck me up a couple times, then
you'll hold the mix.
Then I'll start okay, is this going to be, how am I blocking here?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I guessed right. I didn't even mean to block overhead. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, and a lot of times it takes Darius a second or two to kind of set up anyways, so there gives you a little bit of a gap there to kind of wake up buttons or wake up jump or whatever you want to do. So you got to remember your options there. Yeah, anyways, we trailed off our pro comp competition, but I don't think there was much more to kind of outline there. They gave a
there is another post, right? We do have a lot of information about it, about how they're doing points and stuff. So this isn't even one of the major events. Hold on, I'm going to send you this other link.
Yeah, please do.
This is because you get first place gets 400 and something points at the demigod, they're calling it. So you have they have the event split between demigod and combatant.
Oh, interesting.
So this one upcoming in Mexico City is a combatant one, right? They said first is 210 points. But these demigod ones, which, let's see here.
Oh, okay.
Latin America Gamescom, Combo Breaker, Vianality, which is coming up the beginning of next month. CEO is not Demigod, but Evo is. So those will be like the big points.
Right. So that'll be what everyone's going to be trying to hit. Vianality will be fun to watch. A couple on here I didn't expect to see. Brussels Challenge, I haven't even heard of that one. Blink Respawn.
I have.
Huh. I haven't been paying attention, I guess. Versus fighting, it's good to see that other.
How many fighting games do you follow that aren't NRS?
Very loosely one, Guilty Gear. That's the only one that
Right. Okay.
I'll just pay attention.
That's how I hear about most of it. Right, is people like restreaming, or it's just like what's going on that weekend. Just hear about from if you pay attention to Street Fighter stuff or Tekken stuff or whatever. So I'd heard of what was the one? Brussels Challenge. I'd heard before.
Yeah, Brussels Challenge. I'd never heard of before. That sounds like some sort of Hot Ones things with like spicy Brussels sprouts.
Is Versus Fighting the one that's in the UK?
Yeah, it's cool to see them getting an event. I feel like there's more pro comp events this season than there was last season. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but feels like there's a lot. Texas Showdown, Combo Breaker, CEO, Evo, Gamescom.
Who do you think is okay? So next weekend is the first stop on season 2 of the pro competition. Because there's always that team that we see, like I would say it's a 50-50 shot of whether there'll be one in the match, and sometimes it's even a mirror match because say like the very early tournaments from the very beginning of season 1, right? Raiden, like what Raiden Cyrax was, or Baraka Cyrax, or like whatever. And then what did we see a bunch of like right after that, after the Cyrax nerf? And it was Peacemaker, right? Peacemaker in every single match. Chameleon, and literally it was something like 94% of streamed matches had one or both players playing Chameleon or something. So who do you think that's going to be for this upcoming tournament? Cameo or roster or specific team?
If I'm going to pick a specific team, I'm picking Ermac Janet. I think that's going to be... People want that big, easy damage, it takes execution, but, it's hitting for 600 is not nothing,
Right.
So, that's not nothing. And then as far as, like, cameos, again, probably Janet. Probably just seeing Janet with all sorts of people, and then...
Janet Movado, I think, we'll see way more than, like, Farah and Chameleon.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see very much fair outside of maybe some meta matchups like Scorpion or Homelander kind of a thing.
I agree. Maybe some other like niche teams, right? How like exciting it gets when somebody's like, even in MK11, like, oh, somebody else is playing that other variation that literally nobody does because they all think it's garbage. So you like never get to see it, and it's always like super novel. I'm not sure I've had like that many well, I would say the first time I had one of those moments in this game is when what's his name? I think he's Australian. The Sindel Cyrax. The first time I saw that Sindel Cyrax of him playing in grand finals, I was like, okay, I'm like not even mad that it's in the game. It looks so sick. I love the whole idea of it. I love watching the kind of like mix up of like what's happening, and it just takes some, to kind of, that's not something that you see somebody else do and then you copy. People have, copied that and so on. I'm not saying he was the only one that was doing it, but like people that understand the synergy between their cameo and their character, and it's something that's not super obvious because everybody's not doing it. And it's just like a nice treat to see something that's like different, and for it to be like, that was like a showcase. I was, I'm not even sure I was following Mortal Kombat too closely at the time. I was probably mad at the game, and I was like just undeniably super saucy, super awesome.
Yeah, and I think Soul's Clue was saying that...
Soul's Clue, thank you, okay.
He got that tech from Scars Unseen, Miley Cyrus.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
So, yeah. Another one that I think we might see, that I've been seeing a lot in Combat League, is Sindel Tremor. And it's really annoying, too, because you're dealing with float pressure and then cancels into the low tremor shenanigans,
and they buffed his cooldown, and she's got the ability to lower the cooldown or increase the recharge rate of the cameo anyway. So she's got a lot of synergy with Tremor, right?
Yeah, that pairing feels unfair sometimes. But I mean, I will say that playing Sector, that's like one of her worst matchups. Like it is.
I saw a Sindel player post their matchup chart or whatever in Sector. It sounds like is a bad matchup.
Yeah, it's from when I played, like, especially since I played the character since launch, and I only just found out like 2 days ago she has an anti-air sidewinder. I don't know how I missed that, but because I just got cheesed out by a Homelander who would just like float in the top 3/4 of the screen and just eye laser me, and I couldn't figure out. I was like, how do I hit him? How the heck do I hit him? And then I went into the lab and I was like, oh my god, I'm so dumb. I have an anti-air one.
Yeah, she has like 5 versions, right? She has the neutral one and then one. Yeah, so 5 versions, one for every single direction: forward, back, down, and up.
Yeah, it's very good. It's got to be one of the best projectiles in the game. But yeah, against Sindel, like she's just like she can't do anything. Like she can't counter zone at all. She just has to hope that you like kind of find your way into the corner, and then depending on the Kameo you're using, like if you're playing Motaro, you're just getting close to the core, 4, 2, 1, flamethrower, teleport the other way, and now we're going back the other way. You know, it feels unfair. Again, you can also
have you been playing Motaro then?
I've been working on it. Yeah, I only really wanted to pick up that Kameo for Kenshi specifically, because apparently that's also a pretty bad matchup for Kenshi, because you just armor through whatever his pressure is, and then, again, you're just running the other way zoning. But so far I haven't really needed to use it too much. It's not fun for me as much, you know? Like, I had fun playing Motaro with Quan, because, you know, getting the bone cage combos was cool. And, like, having a reflect is nice, but I just have too much fun with Shujinko. There's just too many different things he can do. And adds a lot of things to her, too, because usually she can't really combo off of the 4-2-1, but with Shujinko she can. Same with her overhead. Turns it into a launcher. So, gives her a lot of things, and it's the Kameo that I enjoy playing, so. But I have been messing around with a little bit with Motaro. I was trying to learn, like, some of the combos by going through invasions. That's kind of how I learn. You know, I got to complete invasions anyway, so I'm going to use a character I want to kind of learn. Or a Kameo I haven't leveled up yet, just to get him up to the proper levels.
I mean, it's just like practicing your combos against a moving target.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's why I kind of go in there to practice things. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's probably her best Kameo in Motaro, but I don't think Shujinko's that far behind. And you get extra health. 1100 health has saved me a lot, I will tell you. Especially as a character. Playing as characters like when I played Quan Motaro, as low as 850, like, man, what a difference it is to have extra health.
I know the health differential there between those two teams, and it can go a long way. And I feel like, so you were complaining about Baraka Kano in the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so it kind of started a little discussion about like, what would you even change? Like, how could you even, it's like one of those things that's like fundamental to what the ability is. What could you do to make it less oppressive in certain teams without just gutting it, making it still usable?
Yeah, and that's a tough question, because like I would say like kill his cooldowns a little bit, but like he's got 2 different things he can do, right? Like he can do the knives, then he's also got the ball as well. And they buffed the laser, I guess, to make it like so there was a reason to use it, I suppose. But I mean, people still aren't going to use that when they have Kano knives, to unsafe shit into Kano knives, you know?
And we already talked about how he's pretty sure he's the only launch Kameo that didn't get anything besides just that eye laser buff, but didn't get like a new ability added to them.
No, it'd be interesting to see if they
right?
gave him something. Yeah, I think you might be correct there. Yeah, because Sonya's got a bunch of stuff and a bunch of buffs.
Well, Sector, they haven't really given anything new. Just they buffed the homing rockets. Well, I guess they gave him I don't know what category I'd put that in, but he doesn't have anything like what they gave like
Sonya's upward bicycle kick kind of a thing.
Yeah, but like Cyrax got the net buff and the new like bomb behavior. Like even if he gets hit, he still drops the bomb and things like that. But
Right.
Did they add something that wasn't there before? Like Frost has obviously received new stuff, and Serena and Sonya. Jax has the grab.
Yeah, which I still haven't seen.
Oh,
too
Striker.
much.
Yeah, Striker hasn't gotten anything.
No, just kind
Do
of.
you feel
some
bad for
balance.
Striker?
No,
Do you
God no.
feel bad for Striker? You're like, fuck that Cameo.
You had your moment, all right? Go fuck
He had his
yourself,
15
Striker.
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's still fine. He still does the things that he does before, and like even his grenades combo now if you get caught in the air by them. So like, no, you're fine.
You get the little bit of a pop up like the sector rocket, right? But I think people just are like, well, Kano's just doing what Striker used to do for me. Like, Kano's not as good as what pre-nerf Striker which was, but like Baraka Striker,
right.
which is why people use Striker. And then when he got nerfed, and people move on to Kano, but for the same idea, and you see it in like raiding Kano if you fought against that team.
I hate that team too. I think it's just Kano.
Yeah.
Though. I think it's just Kano, though, to be honest. Like, it's just things that lock you down and make you unable to play the game. That's just not fun for me.
The characters that he synergizes with, that makes those matchups super obnoxious. I agree. I don't really like Kano either.
But like I say, that is someone who's a zoner, right? So it's like, far be it from me to talk about unfun gameplay when I'm just sitting there shooting missiles at you the whole time. But I mean, I'm making movement reads, and
we all have our stuff, right? And I think people are allowed to complain. Like as long as when people know that they're being unreasonable, like when somebody prefaces something with like a hot take by saying like, this may be a hot take. Okay, you've got some self-awareness, right? Like you're thinking about how it's going to be received, and you've thought about it like critically and stuff, but people just throwing shit out there because they're tired of dealing, with bullshit, but they have no real answers other than just like really unrealistic stuff. Like we've talked about, like Star Charger's list that got memed, his katana buff list. He's a totally capable player and stuff, but some of the stuff that he was asking for in there, it was like 18 things. It was like so many things. And turning things from like, this shouldn't be negative with the gap, you got to fix the gap and also make a +8 on block or something like that. Like, okay, come on now. Okay, this is not. Anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, it's different, like, because I've seen Burrito Voorhees throw out big lists too, but like from talking to him, it's I don't think he thinks that like all of these things should be implemented. These are just things that could be changed with the character, and I think that's different
right. Like pulling names out of a hat. Like I don't even need all 20 things. Pick any of them, right? Yeah. And I'll be happy. Yeah.
Yeah, not just Katana needs 18 buffs. All of these 18 buffs, or the character's garbage. Which is obviously not the case. The character is insane. Not as good as
she just got that new thing.
Yeah, I made a bit of a hot take when she got her recent buffs, and I'll rescind that now. I was saying she's the best character in the game, and she's up there. She's up there, but
was that Salty Dink that made that statement?
Maybe subconsciously, not like in the moment, but I think just like, when
was it after a set?
No, it wasn't after a set. That's why I say subconsciously, because I think I've played probably 200 games against Retro, and it's probably 198 to 2 for him. So I mean, there's some subconscious Katana, going on. Retro's a fantastic player, so I mean,
skill gap. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're
Retro.
You're not wrong. Retro's insane.
I'm not trying to be mean. I mean,
you don't have to worry about being mean, hater. I know where I stand. I'm not one of these top tier world class people, anymore. I'm just some old guy that just plays. I barely even lab these days.
You're a boomer. You're a fighting game boomer now. It's time for the next generation.
They can take it, go for it. I'm just a gatekeeper. If you can't beat me, you ain't getting a demigod in Combat League. Sorry, but but my skill gap stops there. I'm not looking at frames. It's just crazy to me. Like years ago, MKX was probably my peak. I talk about this a lot, where like all of my gameplay was like to the frame. I would make sure that like this was guaranteed. If I knew that they did this, I knew that I could do down 1 or down 3 or back 3 or whatever, because there were just enough frames there, and I had to time it perfectly. And like now, I just know that I just do it roughly. Like I'll lab it once. Like, okay,
you don't put in the time.
No,
that you used to.
No, and I'm okay with that. I still have fun playing, and like there are little things that like, because I've played somewhat competitively for 20 years, I've just been in so many different scenarios, and there's times where I win just based on that alone. I know that in this particular scenario with this particular amount of health with your particular spacing, you're gonna jump, and I'm just gonna wait for it. And that's
Right.
that stuff carries me along, and it'll kind of fill in the gaps to a certain extent on my more crucial knowledge of things, the exact frames or the exact hitboxes. I kind of try and fill those in with my skill and experience than actually grinding numbers like I used to.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, right? Like instead of just spending, and Tekken players talk about this a lot because it's like you don't need to know like all 100 or 120 of your character's moves and what the 100 moves of your opponents and stuff. Like you need to have some familiarity, but not all moves are created equally. But a lot of it's behavior, like you were just saying, like. They're always poking they're always poking with like a down 1 or a down 3, like after this block string. Is that really plus? And then the next time you see the block string, you try to poke instead. Okay, did I hit them or did they hit me? Okay, they hit me. They must be plus.
Right.
Now, how plus? Things like that. And paying attention when they're trying to condition you. Like, it's so funny when someone hits you with the low and it's like, oh, fuck, I know they're going to go for the overhead next time because they think that, that was just enough to get you scared of the low. And then lo and behold, there's the overhead. It's like knowing kind of like what the options are, but
I find with Sector, like if I hit somebody with the overhead once, that her back 3-4 is hitting for the rest of the game. Like they are just so scared of that overhead once they get opened up by it, and then I'll shimmy them a little bit, back 3-4, yeah, every single time. And they're just terrified of that overhead. I don't know why, but it's just
because you get a full combo off of it.
I mean, yeah, I suppose that's kind of scary, right?
People aren't afraid of my overhead when I play her because I don't use a Kameo that gives me anything. I mean, I could use bar for just a regular scaled, that spending a bar for 309 damage or whatever it ends up being, as opposed to like Shujinko that just lets you cancel into what like that can lead to, or Motaro, right? That leads to 400, 500 damage and stuff. That makes it super scary, but you can do the same thing with the low.
It's true. Well, you have to do back 3. You don't get that like fast hitting second hit because if you do that, they're airborne. Which kind of
right.
sucks.
So just the back 3. So it's just the single hit. So you're not hit confirming or anything.
Just throwing it out there, just mixing it up. But that was just kind of my point. Is like you hit them with one thing and then they're just like looking for it.
But not everybody is that way, right? Like so, let's say that they do start blocking the low and then. It turns into that whole, okay, so are they just guessing or are they just blocking low and reacting to the slow overhead? Or are they guessing as much as you are and stuff?
Yeah.
But yeah, noticing those patterns where it's the same thing in those same situations and people always trying to take their turn at the same time. Or we were talking about earlier with the Darius setups, right? Like, don't take any of that shit for granted. Like, you prove to me that works, or you prove to me that that's a meaty. And then maybe I'll start thinking about respecting it. Imagine me.
Look at you showing respect. I want to show some respect for you, though, for a minute, because you had messaged me a couple days ago saying that you had a hot take you wanted to bring up today. Now, it's been a couple days. Have you changed your mind on that, or is that still something that
I'm not even saying it's something that should happen. So we talked about it kind of a little bit already, or set it up with the Kano. You complaining about Baraka Kano, so we kind of started talking about like how would you even adjust knives and stuff. And there was a couple really subsequent hot takes about how to do that I don't agree with, and we don't even like need to get into. But you just had me thinking. Remember, Movado came out and he took away 100 health. He was the only character that did that, and then they reverted. They're like, okay, it's too much and stuff. So what if instead, and this isn't, I'm not saying do this to the game, right? This is just an idea, and mainly to, if you would accept it, is that just leave it exactly as it is, and then actually come to the overall conclusion that taking 50 health away from these cameos that justify a health deficit is not enough. There's not enough risk associated with just gelling people into that sort of like pressure, like a really long Baraka Kano sequence or something like that. Just like so many checkmate situations without like flawless blocking or something or whatever. Don't blow me up for, well, actually...
right.
sort of stuff, but just I'm talking very broadly, very generally, right? So that would add more risk. And you saw how many people hopped off Chameleon when they took off the 50 health. Now a lot of people stuck by her, but not everyone. And who else always didn't take away health? But I guess they took away health from some main roster characters like Johnny, right? He wasn't always 950. And
Farrah gave you 150 health at one point.
and now it's just 50. So anyway, how would you feel about that? So just leave all that as much as it is and revert the characters that have been nerfed. So revert Striker, revert Movado, who's been nerfed over and over and over again, but make it more of a hard decision, not just a default. Like that's just like with so many teams, right? Like Movado will just like make anybody better, and all these cameos can make anybody. Like hopefully, I mean that's what the cameo system's intended for, is to like make you better. But it would give you more of a risk for the stuff that's got that really ambushy stuff, or like so many opportunities specifically for like pressure and damage.
Right. So I will preface this by saying that I'm not really a fan of like health balancing. I don't think it's.
I don't like it either, but it's here.
It's here.
It's the game we have.
It's here. So I mean, I can't really think of another way to balance him. The only other way would be to be like, if you call him out, he's gonna come out, because right now he's easy. You just press him, and sometimes he comes out on hit or not. So. There's no hit confirming. If you made it so you had to hit confirm him, would that ruin the cameo? Because that's what the cameo is supposed to do. It's supposed to be the one that you don't have to hit confirm with, right? I think it's kind of what. Well,
and he gives you so it's not really an ambush. It's an ambush as in you can use him while you're stuck in the recovery, while you can't do anything yourself, right? You don't have to. It's not a summon like the others, but they have to be like in a combo state or an airborne. It's a combo state, because if they jump up in the air, you can't just pop up Movado to come slamming down on top of them. Right. It's so you hit them with the end of your string that knocks the opponent up in the air, but you can't do anything about it because it's not special cancelable. So all you kind of get is like whatever hit advantage from that knockdown and the little extra hit, because you were staggering and then they disrespected. They tried to take their turn too early, and you finish the string and you hit them. You get your 40 damage or whatever, 90 damage, whatever the hit does. But Movado can intervene and turn that into a combo. I feel like that's the idea of him that you can't take away, but that's what makes what you were just talking about. You can basically OS it, because since they have to be in a combo state, it doesn't come out on block. If you're using Janet or Scorpion or whatever, like it's funny when somebody like throws out like a mix-up string, and then Scorpion comes out to breathe fire at nothing, right? Because they have to commit to it and use the resource. Sonya's like another one. You don't have to do that with Movado. So you can just OS it behind whatever string that you're doing, and when he comes out, it's like, okay, there's my combo. Thank you very much.
I feel like Movado does not need that. I feel like Movado gives you that bomb, which gives you like throw combos and all sorts of crazy stuff. Movado gives you a low that will hit you on the ground and cause you not to have a wake-up attack. Movado gives you a push block.
Guaranteed OTG. That you must block. If you block, you're forced off the ground, and he's plus however many double-digit frames. It depends on the spacing and all that stuff, right? And if you get hit by it, it's like 60 damage or something. So it's like a guaranteed thing if used right on a knockdown. It's very good.
The amount of times I've got hit by a fatal blow and I'm like, oh my god, save me 1100 health, and I'm like, yes, I'm alive, and then Movado just sweeps in. I'm like, oh no. Wow, how anticlimactic. Okay.
You can't take away the block OS thing. There's no way, because of the nature of it. It's like we were just talking about. You can't change the nature of like what things like Kano knives are without just taking away the whole idea of it. Because it's just part of its whole, like the ideology, the fundamental thing about like what makes it. Because you can't make him, if you made them commit to it, then he'd be no different than any other ambush. But it also means you'd be able to call him when they're not in a juggle state, which means that you could just knock people out of the air, like while they were jumping, like while you're on the other side of the screen, which is why I think they made it that way. So,
yeah, and
what do you think? Back to a 900 health, but reinstate the damage scaling?
The thing that I struggle with is like those moves are so critical to the character's identity. You know, like he is the elastic band man, you know, like that's part of what makes him cool is he comes out with these little bands. So like to get rid of those kind of ruins the lore of the character, which I care more about than the actual moves. Cause like in my mind, if you got rid of all that OSing stuff and maybe make his push block or block break or whatever less expensive, I feel that would be fair. But then again, you're kind of ruining then he only has the one elastic band,
you
which
can't.
OTG.
Well, I was just saying, like, so you're a proponent of you think the OS that he can do is dumb, right? Like you
really
would prefer that's not in the game, but you can't take it out without just taking out the move, just period.
Which I'd
like
be
I was
fine
just
with.
talking about, right? Yeah, just so he doesn't get the combo
doesn't
extenders.
Get the combo extenders, you know. He can do
but
his OTG low.
But he gets a less expensive push block. I think if you took away that combo extender, literally nobody would use him. But even if you took that away and you buffed the push block to only cost Kameo meter, but right now it costs half a Kameo and 2 bars of meter. I think if you're taking away those, because he's got 2 of those launchers, right? He's got the forward and the up Kameo. Yep. That would just have to be half Kameo. Like just period.
Maybe you could keep one of the launchers. If you got rid of one of them, like maybe the upward one, maybe? I don't know. I'd have to look into it.
The up one's generally the better one. The only time you really ever see the forward one is when it's because it knocks them back towards you. So say like I'm Melina and I'm full screen and I hit an EXI. The forward one will kick them back towards me while I'm dashing in to get a ball roll, and I can combo that. The up one, I would be too far away to do anything. So that's more, the forward one I feel like is more of a utility thing, because I think the gravity is generally better on the up one. So if you wanted to take something away from him, it would be the up one.
Sure. I'd be okay with that, and keeping the back one. I mean, I don't know. The
forward one.
One particular one that always makes me the saltiest, and I don't know why it's this particular one, but like Reptile's Sweep. Like getting hit by Reptile's Sweep and the Movado just coming in, just full combo. Like, holy fuck.
Is not as annoying as playing against Reptile Sonya, in my opinion. Dude, standing 3 into Sonya dive kick, all the stuff he has that leaves his feet off the ground, you know, that goes into Sonya dive kick, and all the time he spends in the air, and he can do it like when he's invisible and shit.
Yeah.
And you see the camera move a little bit, and then here comes Sonya, right? Like they jump in the air to get the Sonya. Man, but that's okay. So this started out with you said that I had a hot take.
And then I come in with like 8 hot takes.
This needs to be named Dink's Movado hot take, right? I don't want anyone to think that this is my opinion. I don't agree it should be removed. I agree that it's annoying, but I think it would be too much to remove it.
I also agree that it would probably be too much to remove it. But I think if you're going to, you'd have to give him that utility in the push block. Because right now, I don't see a single person use that. Maybe we'll see some pro comp, but
I see Honeybee use it all the time. All the time. Because he runs Movado Reptile and Movado Noob.
Right.
So, like, if you've got the resources, then it's that situation, because it does damage, too. It's a push block that does damage.
See, like, that's so good. Movado just does so much.
See it.
Take away the stupid... You know what? I'm going back to my hot take. Take away the stupid OS. He does way too much. He has way too many things that he does for you. He does not need auto combos. That's so dumb. Sorry. Went on a bit of a tangent.
Dude, that's part of, like, the other stuff is nice and the trap is nice and stuff, but I bet you if that happened, if you put that on Dink's wish list and NRS says, okay, that's your one wish for this game cycle, you shield. Like, we promised to keep the secret about what MK11's was, but
right.
So this is the one wish you get granted, and they take it out. Like, I don't think anyone will play them.
Yeah, I don't know. If there's any Movado enjoyers that are listening, let me know. If you took away those auto combos, like either one of them, just one of them, would you?
I was just talking about. I see it all the time. Honeybee plays Movado, but Noob Movado. It seems to be the consensus now that things are fleshing out a little bit. A lot more eyes on Noob. Noob Janet is a superior team. Movado's more about like comfort level, play style, like a little bit. But what if for the same sort of like damage that you're getting off of straight hits, she's giving you like setups and all sorts of other like crazy shit. So if you're gonna pick on Movado, you got to pick on Janet too. And it's not just Gento stuff, just
It's those
what that
punches.
jump punch does. It's just so good and adds so much for like so many characters and enables just some nutso stuff. You know, the Mighty Unjust has been back on Noob and playing Noob Janet, and he only plays the brokest shit in the game, whether it's
true.
Homelander, Peacemaker, whatever. That guy does not go into a competitive environment without playing what he thinks is the most broke shit in the game. And right now he's playing Janet and Noob.
Yep, and doing good. Doing out there. I see him on like TNS and stuff, getting like top 3 every week. So I don't know. That's another team that I think we were talking about earlier. Seeing the pro comp, probably Noob Janet a lot. I kind of forgot about that. But
I think we're going to see a lot of Janet.
A lot of Janet. The poor NRS. Like they've nerfed that Kameo what, twice, 3 times now, and it's still like it's just poor design. Like its design is just so crazy in and of itself.
I mean, it's like all the like some of the other moves that we've been talking about. It's like Kano knives. How do you change it without just removing it? But it's just too good. It's too good on a basic fundamental level, like what it's trying to do. Like there's not much nuance to it. It's very straightforward.
Right.
And if you want their stuff to work across the entire roster, you can't just go in them and like, okay, well, when she's teamed up with Noob, the gravity needs to scale this way more, so he can't get this or something.
Right.
Right. It doesn't work that way. So is this exposing a flaw in the Kameo system, or like, you know, exacerbating people that already don't like the system, or is it just something that you accept in stride? Yeah, it's just there's been plenty of broke shit in fighting games, and a lot of people want things to be more broke and more things like that. But you know,
more craziness, more mix up into full combo kind of idea.
People don't like craziness. Launch Pharah was fucking crazy, right? And too crazy. You think that was too crazy? Launch Chameleon or Launch Pharah? Which was a worse experience for you? Like the craziest, like, oh my god, how are they getting away with this shit?
Launch Chameleon, for sure, was
way worse.
Way worse than.
And that was Peacemaker era too, right? Like they came out like back to back.
Chameleon
and between the two of them.
But yeah, between the two of them, that was just obnoxious. Like I was just, at least the game had a little bit of calming down. We had a little bit of a Homelander phase there.
And then it was Pharah.
So, but I don't know. There's always going to be some broke shit in the game, and people are going to complain about it, like I'm doing right now. So it is what it is. We'll see if NRS wants to change anything. If we have at least one more character coming, which tells me we have at least one more balance patch, I would assume, that would come with it. T1000. Still no announcement date on him yet, but I'm assuming he'll launch in the next Combat League season, which is like 40-ish days away. 30-something now? I haven't checked. I haven't looked. I'll have to look again.
It's 30-something.
So about a month, and then we'll see T1000, and we'll see what shakes up then, and see what the meta looks like. So, but let us know if you've been playing any of the characters we've been complaining about, or if you have any balance suggestions that might be different or more effective than ours. I believe that does it for another week here. So, thanks everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because we make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.